where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandobi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Poleski dives onto the right side. Very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys, Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Poleski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the left car and around those at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Nuno Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will clip the grass. Oh, a 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernot. Gernot will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
Last week at Sonoma, Gernot Frisch made his return well known to his competitors after a dominant 22.7-second win. But many drivers who finished behind him claimed Sonoma to not fit well with the car, and being such an unfamiliar venue to many made for some unexpected challenges. This week, however, this car will have no unfamiliarity with the circuit, as the Global SimRacing Channel welcomes you to the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for coverage of Round 4 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. Up in the booth today will be yours truly, Nick Schmeg, and I'm being joined by both Asian Puhaka on the mic, as well as Joe Peak in the director's chair using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Just because Spa is a world-famous track packed with history and incredible racing does not at all mean that it's easy. To get a closer look at the track, allow me now to send you through the virtual world with the GSRC Lap Guide.
Welcome to Spa-Francorchamps. Less than an hour's drive east from the German border, this Belgian track has come to define racing for many different eras in the sport. It's no wonder it continues to entrance drivers when you look at the stats. The 7 kilometers over the course of a lap includes more than 330 feet in elevation change as it weaves its way through the Ardennes forest. Packed into this is 19 turns, some of which are considered among the most famous in the world of racing. Corners like La Source and Blanchemont have been on the lips of drivers for decades. But by far the most notorious is Eau Rouge and Rétillon. Typically referred to in name by just the first section, it dips low and swings left, then compresses and climbs to the right up a massive hill. The sequence ends with a completely blind crest that sweeps to the left and leads onto the incredibly long Kemmel Straight. The bravery required to be fast through there will pay off towards one of the most popular passing spots at Lacombe. Eau Rouge is exemplary of the rest of the circuit though. Most of the turns are incredibly fast and many include much of that signature elevation change. As jaw-dropping as the track is, you have to remember that this is the modern truncated layout. The old one, raced until 1979, was 14 kilometers in length, yet carried an average speed of 150 miles per hour. Present-day safety measures do cut down on the danger, but even in recent history, the circuit has proven deadly. It's clear why this track continues to be revered and respected by racers the world round.
And there you have it, the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. You can see with all those overhead shots of the track just how big this track is. And Ozzy, when you have a track that's this big, you have a lot more challenges. Tell our viewers a little more about circuit de Spa-Francorchamps.
Well, it's not only big, it's 7 kilometers long as well. You got 19 corners, each more demanding than the last. We are using the Grand Prix pits today, which means the pit lane will be a little bit shorter than the endurance one, so just running the length of the main straight roughly, and these drivers are gonna have a tough challenge out here today because you got so many fast corners. You have to set up your car for the straight lines, of course, the long camera straight that you got after Rouge, Rétillon, all the way to Lacombe, almost 1 kilometer long, and it's uphill, which you don't see so easily on the cameras. It's uphill, you got other long straight, so you have to run less wing than you think, and that means these fast corners, all these bends. You got Pujon, you got the Blanchemont corner, and you got all those auto-demanding corners. They're going to be even more difficult now that you cannot use all of the downforce you would necessarily require. And of course, I mean, it's in Belgium, it's in Francorchamps, Belgium. It's a legendary track, and once again, we come here in great numbers.
We do come in great numbers indeed. As we take a look at the race details, one that's important to note out about this race, we almost went to 3 splits on the iRacing service. That means we have a very big grid here, 36 drivers. And you see they will be tackling today round 4 of 12, 21 laps here at Spa. Open setups, you can tweak the car back in the garage. And in terms of incident points, 17 is going to get you a penalty, 25 is going to boot you from the race. We do have some driver's points on the line, and last week really tightened things up, Ozzy.
Indeed, it did. It was Sonoma, it was difficult Sonoma, and it was the man, the myth, the legend who caught maximum points out of that one, but still that doesn't mean he has gotten the lead quite yet. It is Jamie Hall from United Kingdom who is in the lead in the point standings with 148. Antti Lepistö from Finland hounding him with just a 2-point difference, but in the position number 3, it is Gernot Frisch from Austria, just 10 points behind. Will he add another championship to his umpteenth one? Steve Bycroft from USA 4th, and Chris Bowman from Switzerland 5th. And I believe we have some team points up near the standings as well. Team points, of course, team championship being crucial, and I believe, Nick, you may have some team points for us as well.
I do. Warsteiner Aero's racing team has extended their lead to 17 points over the Auto Delta Alfa Romeo team. That's where you'll find Gernot Frisch, and that is really going to be the big help to that team today in Spa and probably for the rest of the season. You see Candy Team Terrell, Martini Racing Team Lotus, and Marlboro Team McLaren back 26, 28, 29 points back. It's very tight for that final podium position, but thankfully still early in the season.
It is indeed very early in the season, so no point talking about championships more than that just yet. Storylines of today as we watch the cars qualify, we talked about it briefly. Let's start with that one, Nick. Return of the Austrian Superman to the top. He was perfect at Sonoma. Can he do it again? That's really my question, and I will answer that first and foremost. I think he can at Spa, even if on the race before this one, 2 hours ago, he wasn't able to find the win, but maybe this time he will. I believe you have some other points for our viewers as well, like passing, tough at Sonoma, but here not so much, right?
Yeah, a lot of passing opportunities here, and there's going to be a lot of draft available as well. You think of the Kemmel Straight, which you can see Gernot Frisch get onto right here. And, you know, you get a lot of opportunities at this track. And I think one of the reasons that Frisch wasn't maybe able to get that win earlier today is because when you have a track that's this famous, you know, very popular amongst the drivers on the iRacing service, of course, being race fans, and they all want to try to race this track as much as possible. The popular tracks get very, very competitive. People learn them very quickly. They learn them very well. And so, unlike Sonoma, where it's not really a popular track, especially in this car, you're going to have a lot of drivers vying for this win today, I think.
Yeah, well, you say Sonoma isn't popular, but I got a friend who very much likes Sonoma, and after you called it a difficult track, or we called it a difficult track at the start of the podcast, I immediately got a message saying, boo-hoo, Sonoma hard. So that's a funny bit. Also, I'm watching the qualifying times right now, and it is Jamie Fluke in the lead of that one, with Tim Klassen second and Steve Bycroft third. Now, the important thing to note here is that Gernot Frisch is only in the 9th place right now, but the first lap is a little bit slower than the second, so maybe that plays a role into it. And of course, Jamie Fluke, he has that black stripe. He is a pro driver, and I've raced against him actually at Spa-Francorchamps back when we did Pro Mazda, and he is very good here.
Yeah, definitely a little bit different machine dealing with than the sports car, but it is definitely always catching to the eye when you see one of those black stripes enter the session. Jamie Fluke, actually the number 2 driver here today. Frisch still has a higher I rating, but Frisch sits back in 9th right now. He looks to be working a second lap.
Yeah, and also another name to notice and to watch here today is number 5, Michel Duranon. He is an absolute beast with the Lotus 49, but let's see how can he do with the updated model. Not that there's much difference between 49 and 79. Oh, and Gernot actually abandons his second lap because he went too wide coming into the back straight, so that means that Gernot will not have a second lap, and he will start way down, actually. He will start way down. Jamie Hall coming over the line. Let's see how he does. Not great on his second effort. Who else is still on the lap? Nobody that can make it over the line. Maybe Dustin Heröder can actually do it. He's on the bus stop, 207.3 his time right now. Let's see if he can improve. It's going to be very tight, but he can just make it to the line. Let's see how the Tyrrell goes. The blue car and 208.1. So isn't able to improve, and that means we have our starting grid, Nick. And it is a bit of a surprising one, I must say.
It is indeed not necessarily a surprise at the very top of things. Jamie Fluke with that black stripe, he's going to have the pole. Tim Claeson's going to be alongside of him in the 9 car. Steve Brycroft, Alex Millward, and Antti Lepisto will round out your top 5. But after that, you have Thomas Simon, Nick Thiessen, Michel Dudon-Young, like you mentioned, coming from the Lotus 49 series. He'll be starting 8th. Gernot Frisch back in 9th. He's going to have a lot of ground to make up here. And Chris Baumann, he's going to be rounding out your top 10.
And in 11th place, it is the unlucky man this season, Teemu Vaskilampi. Let's see if he can bring it in one piece over the finish line this time. Juanmi Costa starting 12th. Jamie Hall, our championship leader, starting only 13th. Thomas Torp 14th. Carl Villeneuve 15th. Martin Granberg starting 16th. Timothy Reed 17th. John Atkinson Jr. 18th. Christian Otarola 19th. And it's Uwe Krengride rounding out your top 20.
Back here, it looks kind of like the Camel GT series. You got Dustin Heröder and Rob Olenek in row number 11, 23rd, 24th, 25th. They're going to go to Peter Kuzniski, Kendrick Taylor, and Jesus Pasillas. John Stevens, Alexis Vico are going to be behind them, and rounding out row number 14, Luis Guzman, Mike Rasimus, and Keith Herner going to be rounding out your top 30.
And then in the last few rows, Ray Smith, the last car to get a qualifying time. Then is Yangtze Lin, Pablo Suarez, Frikten Kate, Mick Claridge, and Joshua Leocata, who didn't get a qualifying time in. This track proving tougher than ever. Just waiting for last few cars to line up. And my tip for viewers watching the start, watch out for first corner, especially if you're in the mid-pack, because there's going to be a lot of action with these cold tires, especially once they get around La Source and into Eau Rouge ruddy lawn.
Yeah, this is always a very sketchy track to start off with, especially here with the standing start as they make their way down to the source. It's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully no one catches another person's tire. We don't want anyone to pull an Alonso and go into the fence. The lights are up. We are getting ready to go. The green flag is out. Jamie Fluke is away. Tim Claeson's going to be alongside of him on the outside. A little bit of a gap back to row 2. That is Antti Lepisto behind them. Very stacked up behind everyone else in the podium, though.
Oh, and there's a wreck. John Atkinson is upside down and flipping in the back. And we have a couple of other cars involved in that one as well. So we got a mayhem in La Source, but surprisingly many cars made it away from that one. And even behind them, it looks single file heading into a Rouge. So nobody being that crazy on first lap. And we got one car in the wall. That's Cherno. That's Gernot Frisch in the wall on the first lap. Just as I was saying. And Juanmi Costa got loose outside of him and spun into him, and Gernot was a passenger. But that means Gernot is out on the first lap.
It does indeed, but back up front, Tim Claeson's almost able to get around Jamie Fluke down into Lacombe off of the Kemmel Straight. Fluke's able to keep the lead, but that's going to allow Antti Lepisto to close in on Claeson's for second.
It is, and Tim Claeson's won that previous race we had here. And so he's going to prove a tough challenge for Jamie. Wasn't so great in qualifying in that one either, but his race pace was excellent. And we know Antti Lepisto, he can challenge anyone, anywhere, anytime. He's always near the front. And Steve Bycroft too, he will be a tough challenger. Alex Millward, he will be looking to gain positions. He's heading to the inside of Nick Thiessen. Let's see if he can make it through. Not quite, but he's challenging him well. And I'm betting we'll be seeing Alex near the top 5 sooner rather than later here, Nick.
Rob Olenek also just had a big off and found himself in the tire barrier. But yeah, like you said, good battling all throughout the top 10 here, it looks like. All getting single file. Now it becomes a task of, and a challenge of bravery down here in the later turns in the track.
It is especially Blanchimont on the first lap, and you could see Jamie Fluke pulling a little bit away. He's topping out at same speed as Tim Claeson's Antti Lepistö as well, topping out a couple of kilometers better
And
actually.
Fluke?
Probably a bit due to the draft, and Jamie Fluke.
Fluke has gone to the pits. He might have jumped the start and has a penalty.
Oh, I'll look into that. I will look into that as well, see if he indeed did so. He started very early, so he may have a penalty chance of that one. Or maybe he started in qualifying fuel actually.
That's a
bit
good...
more likely.
That is true. Could be a setup mistake. That is going to hand the lead over to Tim Claeson's. And he's going to be continued to chase by Antti Lepistö. I don't know if that gap is big enough to avoid the draft. Claeson's thinks it's small enough. He's weaving all over the Kemmel straightaway. Behind them, cars off track. Who is that spinning? Ricocheting off the wall down the straightaway. That's Teemu Vaskilampi.
Oh no, Vaskilampi once again, and there was a strange situation if we can see a replay of that one, because he was trying to pass Granberg, and both Granberg and Vaskilampi went off the track to the left, onto the grass. He followed Granberg onto the grass, and then he just lost it in the grass and spearheaded the wall. And you can see the replay here. It's a very strange situation, because, you know, normally you try to look to the right there, but they both went just a little bit wide. Maybe they bottomed out a little bit, or maybe they just, you know, I don't know what happened there. Maybe a brain fart. Maybe Teemu was just trying to blindly follow the grass and realized he's in the grass a little bit too late. But that's not the way Teemu wanted his season to continue. It's been a woeful one, and it continues in a woeful fashion.
And he has retired from the race already. Maybe just a little bit of tunnel vision there, leading him off track behind Granberg. Either way, it's a, like you said, a very unfortunate finish to this race. A lot of big names struggling early in this one.
It is, oh, Nick Thiessen going out on a glorious power slide, heading on to the back straight. He came beautifully out of fans and almost lost it, but just managed to keep it going. And Nick Thiessen, he's a big name in this series in Lotus 79, not necessarily as a driver anymore, but rather as a man who has done a lot of work behind the scenes, and it's great to see him being high up here once again. We got a bit of a queue forming up behind Antti Lepistö. It is indeed Steve Bycroft and Claeson's, not Claeson's, but rather Thiessen as well. And also Milvord, Durignon and Thomas Simon as well as Chris Baumann and Jamie Hall. So that's a lot of cars queuing up. But look at the lead that the hometown hero, Tim Claeson, has managed to get himself. He's racing in his home country, Belgium, and he looks like he knows his track very well indeed.
He is definitely putting on an exhibition, but like you said, behind them, watch here on the Kemmel Straight. Is anyone going to be able to jump out of line? You get such a big run here. It looks like a couple cars are. They're going to tuck back in, though. Not yet.
Not quite yet. They were not close enough, and you get a run here each and every time. The problem is you have to be able to gauge whether you are actually faster than the car in front over a full lap, and you have to be honest about it. You can't just go for every single overtake because you got a great run off right alone. But you have to actually be able to gauge, okay, am I really faster than the guy in front? Is there any use for me just to pass him for the sake of passing him? Or do I want to actually stick behind him and see if we can get more positions that way? You can also trade positions in the Kemmel Straight very easily, actually, if you get a good enough of a run. And that, I think, is something Antti Lepistö should consider now. Depending on how fast Steve Bycroft, Nick Thiessen and Alex Milvard are going to come behind him, because they need to catch up to that lead. Last time by, Tim Claeson's 0.3 of a second faster than Antti Lepistö, so that's something Antti has in the back of his mind. But we have to also remember, Antti started slowly in Sonoma as well. And I believe we have a replay up on the first corner incident at La Source. So even though these cars are based off 1978, I think we were visiting 1998 in that one, Nick.
I think we were. I think John Atkinson Jr. here is the one we're going to want to watch for. He took the hardest hit here.
Oh yeah, he was the David Coulthard of that one.
he went for one heck of a ride. There was a little bit of contact, besides him. He didn't start this. He was just a product of everyone stacking up. But just see him here, just flipping there. And that car he flipped into was Thomas Torp.
Yeah, Thomas Torp didn't have a great race last time by. He's 6th in the championship standings, actually, but didn't have a great race here. Not a very lucky one for the Swede, but Atkinson just having a tough ride, and look at the resilience of that man. That car is not very good, but he still tried to keep it going, and another angle here as well, and you can see all those cars getting into that hairpin, and it is really a funnel once you go in there. You go from 3 wide, 4 wide, to a very, very narrow piece where some people struggle to even make it 2 wide, and here we see what happened to Gernot as well. He was just coming to Rouge, one car came to outside of him and just lost it under cold tires, and you know, nowhere to go for the Austrian. My heart bleeds for him. It really does.
That's Juanmi Costa, the car that came sliding across in front of Frisch, and Frisch has also retired from the race. And problems with Carl Villeneuve. He is now currently sitting in the gravel.
Oh yeah, he's back on the track now, but he has received some damage, and let's see what happened to him. They were coming to Rivage side by side. That's a Tyrrell outside of him. That's Dustin Heröder. And Heröder was trying to pass him on the inside, braked a little bit too late. There was some contact, and Carl Villeneuve was unlucky enough to receive damage from that one. And I don't think Dustin escaped skate-free from that either. It was a nice try from Dustin. I don't blame him for trying that, but he just locked up the brakes, went a little bit too aggressive in there. You have to be aggressive, but you can't be that aggressive, and that means he just pushed the fellow driver wide, and that means Carl Villeneuve has now lost a lot of positions. He is actually in front of Mike Kasimas and Sean Stevens here near 18th, I believe, right now.
And he had to wait quite a while to get back on track. Now we're seeing on screen the battle for second place. Antti Lepisto still fending off this train of cars behind him. Bycroft, Nick Thyssen, and behind them Alex Millward.
Yeah, remember what I said about starting slowly? Well, Antti Lepisto is starting to slowly come into form. I think he races with lower tire pressures. That must be it, because he's usually a little bit more tentative on the opening laps of the race than the drivers around him. And you can see Tim Claessens has put that to good use, but Antti using all of the track and 10 some, really looking like Keke Rosberg back in the Cosworth days. That famous clip of him taking Rouge flat out in 1983. Yeah, that was Antti Lepisto right there, going almost flat out there, and Bycroft not quite able to get close enough here. Bycroft and Lepisto 1,000th of a second apart in lap times last time by, so Steve, I think, is just waiting for Antti to get into groove here, but Claessens, he's not fast enough to pull away properly from them. Gap last time by 1.1 seconds, and I don't think Antti is gonna let him slide any farther than that. Now it's just a matter of, you know, Antti slowly closing up that gap, getting an opportunity. Meanwhile, Thomas Simon has lost a lot of positions, actually spinning into Lecombe. So that's an interesting one as well.
He had some help, it looks like. Chris Baumann was behind him.
Yeah, that's a bit of a netcode, at least on my view. Chris Baumann was like half a car away from him and just punted him around. Yeah, I was wondering if he lost the back under braking, because it looked really sudden, but yeah, he had a bit of a ghost contact there, so very unfortunate for Thomas.
And Chris Baumann, looks like there's a battle raging right behind him. Dustin Heröder and Peter Kuzniski.
Yeah, they are very close to each other. Heröder getting a good run out of fans right now, and let's see what happens when they head into Blanchimont. Oh, Heröder tries to find place on the outside, but he should have seen Konieczny wasn't having any of that one, and he still went into a gap that didn't exist, trying to force Konieczny out of the line, and it's a shame he decided to do that, because he had the inside line available there. But he didn't want to go for it. He wanted to go to the outside, and maybe he wasn't trusting the car enough to stick to the inside there, and Heröder just having to follow the car in front that has done a little bit of a disappearing act, but I'm sure he will be back soon enough on the track. Meanwhile, let's jump a little bit ahead, because I'm curious what happens with these leaders now. And let's see the lap times. Lepisto was a 10th faster than the leader Claessens last time by. Bycroft following suit. Nick Thyssen as well doing great behind them. And I think Nick Thyssen is actually out of the top 5. The man who is trying the hardest. He's constantly loose. He's sliding things about. But it looks like to me he's just having a lot of fun out here and being able to hang on to these guys. And with car number 12, with the amount of time Nick Thyssen has been away from this series, he's doing absolutely brilliant for himself. And, you know, I'm even putting him in as the underdog who can challenge for the podium. But that's gonna be a tough ask, of course, seeing the names ahead of him. But he's doing great so far. I don't want to jinx him, by the way.
You can see him there through downhill sections. He is just sliding the rear end of that yellow machine all over the track. He is pushing hard to stay in touch with Bycroft. He's right on board with him. Look at the hands here.
Yeah, on board with him. Look at this right left-hander as they come through here. It's very difficult to get the car turned in properly. And then he's looking for the great line, get it turned in. Very neat and tidy there. And on the exit of the corner, he's sliding the back end around just a little bit. It's not a proper slide, but you can see the car wants to turn. He has a very happy car in terms of cornering here. And it doesn't look that bad in terms of top speed either. So Nick Thiessen going for a little bit more of an aggressive setup, and so far it is paying off. But it will be interesting to see what happens if and when he will get past these two guys in front or past someone and probably lose the grasp after that one. Because usually when you set your car up to be aggressive, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble once you lose that toe, because the dirty air that causes mostly understeer. And once that understeer is gone, you're gonna have to be really fast on the in-car dials to dial up that front anti-roll bar, to dial down that rear anti-roll bar, or otherwise you're gonna be in a heap of trouble in terms of balance.
Tim Claeson's the leader, had a 1/10 of a second faster lap than the Pisto this past lap. Able to pull away just a little bit. We've been watching to see if Antti can get this train ahead of him.
Yeah, and look how close it is between all the leaders. Tim Claeson's 208.4, then you got Antti Lepisto and Steve Bycroft with 0.5s, as well as Nick Thiessen, who we ran on board with. Oh, Bycroft is close, Antti is defending a little bit, but I think Steve Bycroft sent a message there. Steve Bycroft sent a message that, hey, I don't want to pass you, Antti, not just yet. And we are also, I believe, checking in, we have to check in on Jamie Fluke, who is currently in 19th place, 21 seconds behind the lead. And he has, 18th place, he has just gotten past Carl Villeneuve. And he's running down Keith Turner. He's last time by 208.6, and he can do far better than that even, that I'm sure of. But he's doing the same lap times as our leaders. The problem is he's not quite close enough to challenge them just yet. And with the 21-second gap, I don't think he will be. But he has a solid chance for maybe a top 10 here.
Yeah, the last time I checked in on him, he was back outside the top 25, so he's definitely making his way forward here. Just got by Carl Villeneuve, who got passed by Mike Rasmus there, and Jamie Fluke now all over the back of Keith Herner. He is going to continue to move his way up through the field, so we're going to have to keep our eye on what the number 2 machine can do in recovery. Going to get another one.
Yep, and it is a good challenge for him. It's a very good challenge for him, and here he goes, past on the inside. That's a very easy pass, and I think Keith Herner was able to see him coming, break up early, and Jamie Fluke being aggressive on the entry and just, taking the position. And he has a bit of clear air ahead of him, so we'll be able to see the lap times better. Kendrick Taylor next car, and he's about 2.5 seconds behind Kendrick, so it'll be a while before he catches up to him. But let's go to Timothy Reed and Peter Konieczny. Konieczny has lost a position already this lap, and he will lose another maybe. Timothy Reed braking a little bit on the grass, but trying to get a good exit onto the main straight and then onto La Source, and maybe we'll be seeing Timothy Reed being one of the surprising drivers out here today. But he also has challenge from behind in form of the always fast Norwegian Ultrain ride. So, it's a great battle here in the mid-pack as well.
Yeah, it has been a good drive for Timothy Reed here, coming from 17th now up to 13th. And yeah, like you said, he's got his sights set on Peter Kuzniski, who just lost a position to Heroder.
Yeah, and once again, I was watching the leaders. No need to go to it. But once again, Antti was defending. Once again, Steve was lifting. So I think Steve is really trying hard to send a message that I don't want to pass you, not just yet. But here they go, side by side, Timothy Reed and Uwe.
Timothy Reed on the inside, trying to hang on to it. That is Ove Trengerade, who's going to come out on top for now.
Yeah, and Thomas Thorpe as well, trying to challenge them from behind. Thomas Thorpe, he had some problems early on, was involved in that lap 1 wreck, remember. But he is now right behind these guys, and Timothy Reed is under some real pressure from 2 fast Scandinavians. Uwe went already past, and Thomas Thorpe is going to try to get past next. So, not necessarily a great situation to be in for the East Coast US man, but we'll see him for sure at least enjoying the life out of himself out here on Spa-Francorchamps. It is a great circuit and racing here. I don't think there are many better places for pure racing than Spa-Francorchamps is. Meanwhile, there's also a good battle between Martin Grumberg in 9th and Thomas Simon in 10th place. He's getting very close indeed, is Thomas. He lost time earlier on. He was punted out by, I believe it was Chris Baumann earlier on, and now he's getting back into the groove, challenging Grumberg. Let's see if he can get through on the bus stop.
Simone, how brave is he going to be? He was going to break a little bit later. This might set up a good run onto the front straightaway. You can see him almost clip the curb. That's going to hurt him just a little bit. Grumberg, I think, is going to keep this position as they head down into the source.
Yeah, but he's having that middle line, only going to the outside line very late. I don't see why drivers do that, because you can get to the, you can do a Tamas and just, you know, go to the left immediately. But I think he was maybe waiting for a late break, but Tamas is being smart here. He's setting up the run onto the camera straight.
Let's see what he can do through Eau Rouge and then down into Lacombe after the Camel Straight. Very aggressive.
And let's go to P3 here, meanwhile, because they are side by side. Antti Lepistö has lost already. No, hasn't lost a position, but Nick Thyssen has actually gotten through on Steve Bycroft, so that's a bit surprising. Maybe Nick was tired of waiting around either or. He caught up to Steve Bycroft, who was lifting all the time, and as Steve was lifting behind Antti, Nick Thyssen said, "Thank you very much, I'm just gonna break at a normal time and, you know, get the position." It was easy for Nick, and now Nick is in P number 3. It is Antti Lepistö in P number 2 ahead of him and Steve Bycroft behind him, but that's not gonna slow them down too much. But I think Antti's gonna realize at this point that, hey, you know, you guys need to work together if you want to catch up to Tim Claessens, because he has gotten once again 4/10 last time by. So this is the time when you really need to pull on the same string, because the man on the other hand, he is a real strong man, and he's not gonna get pulled away from that lead that easily.
Yeah, and that is also reeled in Alex Millward there back in 5th. He's right on the back of Steve Bycroft as well. That gap was a little bit bigger before all that happened. They go a little bit over the curbs there. So now we have 2 Benelux drivers in the podium.
Yeah, and they are doing great in their home turf. You know, this is a track in Belgium, which is part of the Benelux region, and I don't think we have actually that many drivers from Luxembourg, which is the Lux, of course, in the region, despite the fact that it forms
low contact behind him.
Bycroft. Yeah, Milcroft just hit Bycroft under braking. Milward locked his brakes, and Bycroft, he had a bit of a net issue as well, but Milward also braking too late into that one, and that's a big mistake for Alex Milward. Maybe just not able to gauge the position. And the problem is that Bycroft was turning his wheel a little bit on that runoff as well, so they hit each other again. Both of them gonna lose a lot of time. That's 2 tough challengers out of that queue, and Alex Milward is having a banana for a car right now.
And Bycroft, he blinked a little bit, at least on my screen. I don't know if that was the same. Yeah, that might have caused Millward to maybe not be able to judge exactly where he was. So that'll put them back a little bit further. That means Michel Dudon, the Lotus 49 master, he's going to move up to 4th.
Speaking of Lotus 49 masters, it is a different story for the two, because Mick Larridge is last. I don't think he ever even got away into this race properly. He's having some issues, didn't even start in this race, while Michel Dudon is in 4th place, and Uwe Trengeride, also a familiar name from the 49 series, he's sitting in 11th, and what a race he has had so far. He started 20th in this race, and he's sitting 12th. Ahead of him, Peter Konieczny started 23rd, is in 11th. Dustin Herroder started 21st, is in 10th. So not only is pace crucial here, but also consistency, being able to keep your nose clean and being able to put in those good lap times and select your battles as well.
But look who that is to the inside, getting around him, Jamie Fluke. He's going to pick off another one. And going a little bit wide is Trengerade. You got to watch those off tracks. They will rack up here at Spa very quickly. And
it's a brave man who tries to send it to the inside of the horn. That's not an easy one, but Uwe Trengeride, being the experienced driver that he is, knew that Jamie was going to commit that one, gave him the room, and no point for him to challenge that one. And Jamie's going to get another one, I think, on the straight, because Thomas Thorpe is having a little bit of damage, and he's getting to the outside of him, and Thomas clever enough to leave him the room, and I think Thomas is not going to challenge him in the Blanchimont too much. We'll have to see. Thomas is not a pushover by any means. Oh, here we go. Side by side for Blanchimont. Oh, Jamie! That was beautiful, actually. That was more beautiful than I expected, and I think Uwe is going to get a position of Thomas as well. Yes, he is. So that's 2 position changes, and here you go.
Jamie Fluke driving the wheels off his car. getting around both Thomas Torp and Ove Traingrade, who challenged there through the bus stop. Jamie Fluke, he is determined on a top 10, if not more. We're only on lap 11 here out of 21.
Yeah, and he has the 11th place in lap 11 ahead of him, Peter Konieczny. Then it's gonna be Dustin Herrera. The problem for him is that even though he's doing 2:07s last time by, he's the fastest man in the field. That still means that he's gonna have to catch up to faster and faster drivers, and the gap's gonna tighten slower and slower. It's a difficult concept to explain, but it's gonna get slower and slower from here on out, and that means that Jamie Fluke is gonna have more and more trouble passing each and every passing guy. But the good thing for him is that these guys are pretty much separated by a gap, every single one of them. So they are just, there's not a battle in front of him. Instead, it's individual cars, so he's not gonna have to put himself into some huge mess. But instead, he's just, gonna pick them up one by one, and that's what you want if you're Jamie Fluke.
Behind them, you saw Thomas Torp get around Traingrade once again. That battle continues on. But yeah, Jamie Fluke, like you said, it's a tough challenge. If anyone's up for the challenge, though, I think Jamie Fluke's the man for the task.
Yeah, he's been fast out here today, but he's also screwed up his race a little bit from the early on. And he was fast already in 2015 when we raced, and now he has that black stripe, and he's iRacing Porsche Super Cup racer. So, he's racing in the World Championship Series, so of course he's gonna be fast. He has always been fast in an open wheel thing, and it's just his nature. He's fast, he's a little bit hot-headed of a driver, he's aggressive, but he's not aggressive in a way that he's gonna punt you out. He's aggressive in a way that he will go for the gap if he sees it, and here he is seeing a gap on Peter Konieczny. Let's see if it's gonna come to the bus stop.
And you see here on screen a good battle for 7th. Martin Granberg and Thomas Simon. Simon not quite able to get around him there, but he definitely put up a challenge. Behind them is Jamie Hall.
And Jamie Fluke caught that position as well. He got by Peter Konieczny into the bus stop. Konieczny trying to challenge him into the Lazarus, but nothing going there. And I notice how much Jamie Fluke is sliding his car around, and he's driving that thing on pure driving skill and talent instead of experience. As it seems right now. He isn't really experienced with this Lotus 79, doesn't necessarily know how the car will handle over a long run, so he's just wheeling that thing. And actually, Peter Konieczny, the brave man, he's going to challenge him.
On screen, though, you see Simone get back around Granberg, and Granberg's going to lose 2 positions here in Lacoon because that's Jamie Hall in the 10 car sneaking through.
Yeah, that was a great reading of the situation. By Jamie Hall. He was seeing that they were gonna battle, go side by side. Just hold to your normal line, and as Granberg gave way more room than he needed to, he also allowed Jamie Hall to decline.
You see on screen the Jamie Fluke pass that we missed around Peter Kuzniski.
Yeah, it took him a little bit more effort than maybe, he would have wanted to, but he eventually got it done. That was actually the repass onto Lecombe because Konieczny was trying to challenge him early onto the straight, but he couldn't pull it off, and that means that in this corner section, in this technical section, I think Jamie Fluke is gonna run free, and indeed he is. And Dustin Herrera is like, come on Konieczny, come on Peter. Couldn't you have held him off just a little bit longer so I could maybe form a little bit more of a gap? Because Dustin right now, he's seeing that car of Jamie Fluke, and that black stripe get even bigger in his mirrors. And come on.
He is closing in, but...
Yeah. And Nick, should we just show some love to our hometown guy for the leader of this race, Tim Claessens? Last time by half a second faster than Antti Lepistö. He's really on a roll here. And Tim Claessens, he's been always a solid top 10, maybe even a top 5 driver. But I haven't seen form quite like this from Tim, maybe ever. But here he is very fast, he's being very consistent. And behind him, Nick Thiessen is challenging Antti Lepistö, so it's gonna get even better for Tim. And if he keeps it all together, I'm gonna say it right now, there's not too many things that's gonna challenge Tim Claessens for this win.
No, and this is going to help him. The battling that's happening right behind him onto the piste, continuing to have to hold off more and more. Nick Thiessen, he is there, and he wants second place.
Well, yes, he is a racing driver. He's gonna want that position. He's gonna want that position, and I think what he's seeing is that now that the Belgian driver Tim Claessens has run away, that means that the second position is up for grabs. You know, Nick Thiessen, he's actually as fast as Tim right now, and he's seeing that, okay, Antti is not gonna catch him up. There's no point waiting anymore. The gap is already nearly 3 seconds. I'm gonna challenge him. I'm gonna get past him, and let's see what happens in the later portion of this race. Now, 3 seconds is not a gap you cannot close, but seeing how tight these guys are and seeing how good Tim is right now, I'm not seeing any chinks in his armor. I'm not seeing any weaknesses here. I'm seeing a good, solid race car driver driving a pretty much perfect race so far, and we can talk all day long about Jamie Fluke and his start, but Jamie Fluke obviously made some sort of a mistake in the start, whether it's too low of fuel or a jump start or whatever it was. He made a mistake, and that's a mistake that's going to pay him dearly as of right now, and that's a mistake that's going to hand Tim Claessens the keys to this victory. But Nick Thiessen, he's the story of this race so far. He and his surprisingly great battle, and he's right up to Antti Lepistö here. And we know how wide Antti can make his car, but we also know he's not going to pull off any stupid tricks defending his position. So if Nick gets a run and can get the inside line free, then I think he's going to pull through. But the problem is, of course, acquiring that inside line from Antti Lepistö, because Antti's going to be like, should I leave you at the inside line or not? I don't think so. I don't think so.
He's certainly going to want to defend here. You can see him going all the way down to the inside here on the Kemmel Straight. That's going to force Thiessen to use his momentum to move to the outside, and just stalls out the run there. So the Pistol is going to hold on for another lap here.
Interesting thing I noticed on Antti's defense though, he was leaving a gap to the inside because he was trusting that Nick's not gonna, commit to the overtake just yet. He doesn't have a good enough of a run. So he threw in what I call a token defense here. Defending the inside, showing his intention, but he left a gap there. So Nick has a chance to do a dummy here. Fake it to the outside, fake that he's gonna go left on the straight, and then at the last minute change it to the right, because there is a gap here, and that gap is 1.5 cars. He can make it here if he tries. But I'm not sure if Nick has seen it or not. I'm not sure if he investigated enough, but that's something that he's gonna see when he goes into that camera straight, and he's gonna see that, oh, there's actually a gap there, I can go for it. And I don't think Antti can do anything about it at that point, unless he wants an accident.
Riding on board the old helmet cam with Nick Thiessen here. You can see he really is driving aggressively, just can't get around Lepistö, can't challenge him yet. How much, Ozzy, do you think he's saving for later in this race? We're coming up to 7 laps to go.
I don't think so. You're driving pretty much full on here. Of course, you're not doing any stupid risks, but you're in someone's draft, and you're gonna pretty much wait for the mistake, because he has plenty of time. He's an experienced driver, Nick Thiessen, and he's gonna wait at this point to see a mistake from Antti. We can also see Antti sliding a little bit as we see the view from behind him. So maybe Nick is just gonna wait for Antti to run out of tires, to run out of, the grip to battle this position, then he's gonna chime in for an easy position. But the problem is that Nick's also been sliding around a lot in the early portion of this race, so we're gonna have to wait and see. And actually, let's stay here, because Nick is now a little bit closer. He's gonna maybe get a run to the inside, and this time Antti is defending a lot more, but once again he is leaving that gap. He is leaving that gap to the inside, and he realized it at this point that he needs to close a little bit more. Nick's gonna come to the outside, gonna try for it, but nothing doing here.
Thiessen certainly learning how Lepistö is going to be defending this position for the remainder of the race.
Oh yeah, and you're not going to get the inside for free. You're never going to get the inside for free in camera straight. They're always going to defend it. So, when he saw earlier on that Antti was leaving a gap here, leaving the door open, you got to jump for the door, man. You have to. If you're in a burning building, you're going to jump out of the door, no? Same situation.
A little bit of lap traffic ahead of him. Tenkata, he moved out of the way for Claessens, though, so it looks like they'll have no problem. There he goes.
Yeah, and very smart from Freak Tenkata as well. He knows he has damage in his car, and he knows a straight line is an easier place to pass than the corner, so no point, trotting along in front of them. He has no positions close to him in the front. He's just gonna bring it home and gonna try to bring it home, and he's, in a 26th position. despite that, so he has 10 cars behind him, and that's a respectable position for someone who is a lap down in a 45-minute race.
We can report Jamie Fluke has also moved his way up to 9th place as well the last couple of laps. He's got his eyes set on Jamie Hall for 8th.
Yeah, and that's gonna be a tough battle as well. We can also see that Antti had to defend to Vostok as well this time by. It's something he didn't have to do earlier on. So that's gonna bring Nick all new opportunities. Let's see if he's gonna, force him to defend into La Source. No, not yet, but that's something you can also do. You can force someone to break into La Source very late and try to go for a dummy move there and then really ruin their run onto a Rouge.
Peterson had a big run through Blanchimont there that last time around. Let's see how he does here. He's not going to have the inside line. Lepisto is going to go down and defend like normal. Late move by Tisson to the outside. This might be good for him, though. I don't know. Very tight.
Yeah,
he's going to stay on the outside. It'll move back in his favor.
Not gonna he's going to get a crossover here. He's going to get a crossover here. Watch it. Yep, and he's getting crossover, but he's not quite close enough. Not quite close enough of a run, but that was really close, and that was a great call there, and he was closer than ever. He was alongside, and he was able to hold it alongside, and he can now also see that Antti is going to leave him the room, which he have to do. Nick is entitled to that room. They're coming side by side into the corner, and whenever the cars overlap, you are entitled to that room. So Antti's going to leave him the room, and at this point they are on full-on battle mode. Nobody's thinking about Tim Claessens anymore, apart from Tim himself and all of his fans here. You can see crowds all around gathering this Spa-Francorchamps circuit, and they're gonna cheer the hometown boy home. Of course they are. He's their Thierry Boutsen or maybe Jack Weeks right now. So he's the hometown hero, and he's gonna bring home a great result from here, that's for sure. Oh, Nick Thiessen getting very loose, but all eyes right now are on this battle for second because it's been great stuff, Nick. It's been really great stuff, and I'm very curious to see if Nick has any weapons in his pocket.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Antti's going to change his stance a little bit here as well. You see Tisson getting very close. The last couple of laps, he's going to go to the outside of the bus stop. Can't quite hold it. He's going to try to cross him over once again, get a big run onto the front stretch. Not going to happen here. What can he do? What can he manage to muster up out of La Source?
Oh, it's going to be very interesting. I don't think he'll do anything here. Yeah, he's just, staying behind Antti because he will have a good run. Maybe he even needs to lift through Rouge this time. That's going to be interesting because I think he's a little bit too close now. He's going to have to lift.
Yeah. That might stall out his run if he does have to lift up for a little bit. He's there. All over the curb.
Too early.
Yeah, this is looking better for Lepisto. I agree with you. I think that's a move that's going to be too early unless he is very brave on the braking here on the outside.
Ooh, it's close, but no, not... Oh. Antti was not aggressive enough on the inside. He's going to have it if he's aggressive enough, but no, not this time by. Let's see if the crossover is better. No, he was sliding too much. He was trying for it, but he was sliding too much, and that's the problem that I mentioned earlier. When you get a good exit out of La Source, you're gonna have to lift before Rouge and Radillon because you don't want to catch up to that guy on top of the hill. You want to catch up to him when you get a slight kink to the right. And Nick Thiessen also made a little bit of a mistake in the old speakers corner, or what some people call no-name corner, but it is actually the Jack X corner now. So he made a little bit of a mistake there, throwing a little bit of a slide for old Jackie there, but he's gonna lose a bit of time to Antti, so he's not gonna challenge him into bus stop just yet. And look who is creeping up behind him.
You can never ignore Michel Dudignon, and he has been watching this battle intensely. And he is just about there. He's got a gap to Thiessen similar to the gap Thiessen has in front of Lepisto. Don't take your eye off that red car. He wants a shot at this podium as well.
That is a beautiful car too. That is a beautiful, beautiful car. So he's driving that red car, and I think I have played that same car in this series in the past. I think so. I have a memory. But yeah, Michel Dudignon is getting closer and closer, and that means for Antti and Nick that Nick now cannot just focus on the battle with Antti. He's gonna have to focus on it, of course. Put like 80% of his focus to that, but he also has to mind the fact that if he makes a mistake again, Michel is gonna be right there to pick up the pieces. So he has to now, determine whether he wants to go for that move. And if he goes for a move that hasn't been thought through, then, you know, Michel is going to be right there to capitalize on it. And he's getting once again a great run off Radillon. Not close enough this time by, I don't think, but it's a good run, and he's catching him all the way up the hill. Not just in the straight, but all the way up the hill as well.
And Tisson's going to have a little bit of the inside, but not the momentum he needs.
Yeah, and also Jamie Fluke just got the fastest lap of the race. He's in the 8th place, and he's actually closing up to Thomas Simon right now. So the Hungarian driver is going to have a bit of trouble with the good old Jamie here. Maybe Jamie's going to try it into Rivage, actually. We'll have to see. Oh, yeah, he is. And he gets passed. Great, good job. Let's go back to that 2nd place now.
That'll move up to Jamie Fluke. That'll move Jamie Fluke up to 7th place. But yeah, back up front, Nick Tissot continuing. He's going to be able to pull away from Dugnon just a little bit. Michel's not going anywhere, though, so we're going to have to keep an eye on him. But time is running out if he's going to make this work.
Oh, yeah, he only has 3 laps left after they cross the line. And 3 laps is plenty enough at Spa. But, you know, he's gonna have to dig deep now because he's seen Antti's defenses. He made a mistake already earlier on. Both of them are driving on the limit, but I think Antti is still a little bit on the safer side of that limit. He's not quite pushing it to 107% because he knows it'll be in vain. He cannot shake Nick Tissot off. He knows that already, so why take a risk when you can just defend your position like Antti is doing? And he's gonna hold on to the inside here once again and take it the middle line. And Antti is learning too. What I found really interesting last time by Nick when they were on the camera straight is that Tissot tried to pass him or tried to look to the inside, but Antti was having none of it. He wasn't going for the fake. He knew that the guy was too far, saw him in his mirrors, and not even moving an inch to defend. So he's not defending an attack that will not be there. But he's gonna have to defend this time because Nick is once again close. Let's see if he will lift this time by before Rouge.
He is there, just like a couple laps ago. He's looking awfully aggressive.
Oh, this is a good one. This is a very good one now.
He's got a good run. He's going to shoot to the outside here with the momentum. It's going to be a drag race once again down the Kemmel straightaway, down into Lacombe. How much room is Antti going to give him? Doesn't look like much, straddling the middle of the track, but there is Tissot putting a nose ahead, getting up on the curbs. Give Tissot 2nd place. He's finally going to get it done. Can he hold off Lepisto?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Lepisto lost a little bit of time there, but that is exactly a textbook example of how you should pass onto the end of Camber Straight and into Lacombe. He held on to the outside, turned in very nice, and got the pass done before the sweeping right-hander. So onto Rivage, there was no chance for Antti to get the switch back and get the position back. So well done for Nick Tissot. And now he's gonna have the 2nd task. Can he hold on to the position? And how is the balance of his car? We got some clouds also, cloud cover in front of the sun. If you're wondering about the screen going a little bit darker, that's gonna give a little bit of extra grip in front of a colder track for these drivers. So that's gonna be a little bit of an advantage as well, especially with these worn tires. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. But right now, it looks to me that Nick is a little bit faster in these corners. And of course, Antti hasn't really driven it in the draft lately. So he's gonna have to get used to that as well. How will his setup handle behind another car? That is something he's gonna have to get used to, and gonna have to get used to fast because we only got 2 laps left.
A little bit of wind they're dealing with as well. 13 miles an hour out of the south. Lepisto's going to have 14 more kilometers to try to chase down Nick Tissot. 2 laps to go as he goes off track there. He's got to watch out from Dugnon behind him. He's caught him as well.
Yeah, Dugnon is gonna have to jump on Antti if Antti makes a mistake here, and he's gonna have to make the decision soon because he knows that, okay, if I don't try to pass Antti, he may be able to catch back up to Nick here, but if I do try to pass Antti, Nick will be gone. So he's gonna have to make a decision. Do I want to risk it for a 2nd place and go for that last lap pass if he isn't able to catch up the gap to Nick Tissot, or do I go for 3rd place right now and, you know, commit to the 3rd place battle? He's looking to the inside. Antti's gonna have to defend, but Antti has also a tow for himself here, and he's gonna get closer to Nick Tissot once again. There's also a lap car of Ray Smith in front of them, but I don't think he's gonna bring them any trouble whatsoever. But once again, Antti is getting closer.
I think Dugnon, it sounds like, missed a shift there. That'll lose him a little bit of time. You can see him just fall out of the battle just a little bit for now. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to recover. He's going to need the Lepisto to really start battling hard with Thyssen for second.
Yeah, and if he has H-pattern gearbox, that means that he's not quite used to the dogleg layout because both of those cars have 5 gears, the 49 and the 79, both operate in the same manner. But with the 79, you got dogleg gearbox, meaning the first gear is to the bottom and left, and second, third, and fourth and fifth are on a straight line. I don't think it's that way with the 49, so if he's changed the layout, then that explains why he missed the shift. That or he was just a little bit too anxious on the gear shift.
Nick Thyssen has been able to pull a big gap, the biggest we've seen in quite a while here, over Lepisto, about a second.
Yeah, and it looks very bleak for Antti right now, of course. As a Finn, he's used to a bleak mindset. Life, eternal darkness up here, and all of that. But, you know, Lepisto, he's gonna have to pull off some tricks from his sleeve at this point. But, you know, leader Tim Clayton starting up his last lap, Nick Thyssen in second place. It's gonna look great for the hometown boys.
Yeah, Claessens has taken the white flag, but with 1 lap to go, you got to give it to the Benelux region. They're going to have a front row lockout for the win here if they can keep this position. The battle now is going to be for third. Finland versus France, Lepisto and Duniong. I don't think Michel is going to be quite there. He's going to need a couple more laps to catch him, and he's not going to have them.
Depends if the sport is hockey or, you know... That depends. The score is gonna entirely depend on that one. I don't think they're playing much of either right now, but Duniong not quite close enough. Nick Thyssen, of course, he's from the Netherlands, as opposed to Tim Claessens, who is from Belgium, and there is a difference, you know. But Nick Thyssen still doing a very good race for himself so far. And Antti actually going a little bit wide, and as a result of that, Michel is gonna maybe get a little bit closer, but Michel... he looks to me like he has maybe resigned just a little bit. Of course he wants to battle, but he doesn't quite have the pace compared to Antti right now, so he's gonna just have to nurse it home. Chris Baumann is gladly for Michel a little bit too far away to challenge that one here. So, you know, in terms of the top 5, unless something major happens, it's gonna be like this all the way to the end.
Yeah, Tim Claessens, just a few turns left. You can't say enough about his performance. He started second. Sure, he got a little bit of luck at the start, but regardless, he had the pace today. He had the speed and the setup, and he has put on one heck of a drive here at Spa. At his home track, this one's got to feel good.
Oh yeah, winning at Spa, it's so great. And look at him just wiggling around. He can't believe it either in a broadcast race. In this field, you got Black Stripes, you got Gernot, you got Antti Lepisto, you got all these wonderful drivers, even Michel Duniong and Tim Claessen's gonna come home to victor. And just the roars. It's an amazing feeling winning at your home track.
Tim Claessens, he's going to begin celebrating as he wiggles across the line, already beginning to celebrate. He's got the win here in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. Behind them, Nick Thyssen. The Dutchman's going to have second place in front of Lepisto. Duniong. Chris Baumann's going to finish just ahead of Jamie Fluke, who is going to manage a 6th place finish in a heck of a recovery race.
Yeah, and we still got Carl Villeneuve and John Stevens battling for the 17th place. That's the closest battle we got on track right now, as well as the drivers behind them getting close as well. So John Stevens one more chance into the last corner. Villeneuve's gonna defend it. Of course he will. Stevens gonna try it on the outside. Oh, is Villeneuve gonna go wide? Yes, he is. Maybe a crossover to the inside. It's gonna be very close to the line. John Stevens not gonna be able to get the grip in the last corner. And Jesus Basilias is able to bring his car home 19th, so getting past Keith Herner on the last lap.
And that'll do it for the drivers on the lead lap, it looks like. I think Yuangxi Lin in 21st will be the last car on the lead lap.
Indeed he is.
And so that will pretty much do it. What a fantastic race. We're going to have driver interviews and a full rundown of results from the 34 drivers in today's race when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Back here at Spa-Francorchamps, it is a Benelux front row lockout. Tim Claessens from the number 9 car is going to get this win. As we take a look at the rest of the results, Nick Thyssen and Antti Lepisto, that will be your podium, and it was a very well-deserved podium from all 3 of those drivers. Another honorable mention, though, Michel Dugnon. He had a great drive from 8th up to 4th today. He's going to finish in 4th in front of Chris Baumann, who's going to get a top 5. Jamie Fluke, after a lap 1 mistake from the pole, is going to recover to 6th place. He had a lot of passing today as well. Alex Millward, Thomas Simon, Jamie Hall, and Thomas Torp is going to round out the top 10 behind them. Ozzy?
Yeah, and it's going to be another Swede in 11th place, Martin Granberg, then Dustin Herreder 12th, Peter Konieczny 13th, Timothy Reed 14th, Mike Rasimas 15th, Kendrick Taylor 16th, and Carl Villeneuve just holding on to the 17th place in the last lap ahead of John Stevens. Jesus Basilias is 19th, and Pete Herner coming from the 30th place all the way to the 20th position.
Yeah, and Yuangzi Lin's going to be 21st behind them. The rest of the car is going to be a lap down. You'll see them roll across the screen. A lot of big names going to be rolling across there, a couple laps down with a lot of notable DNFs. But one driver who definitely did not have a DNF, Tim Claessens, the hometown win, it's got to feel good.
Hey guys, good afternoon. Yeah, it was an amazing race. It came a little bit unexpected after the false start from Jamie. Was the silver lining to an already good qualifying, I think. It was an amazing race.
For a while, you had a lot of company up front. The first couple of laps, did you think you were going to be able to drive away from them, or did you think you were going to be kind of in the draft game all day?
Yeah, I was afraid of that because during the practice for the entire week, I've noticed I was running a little bit more downforce than most of the other cars at the front of the field. So I was afraid I was just gonna one tiny mistake in one of the hairpins or the bus stop, I was just gonna get gotten on the straights. But I was able to just gap them enough on the infield at Jolicombe mostly and Lefanya in the back end of the circuit to just have enough of a buffer to not really have to worry. First couple of laps, I did do a little bit of nasty weaving on the straights to a little bit away. But yeah, just after I think lap 10 or so, I had like a 1.5 second buffer, and then I just could keep gapping and gapping them every lap.
Yeah, so you were able to just ignore what was coming out the back. Did you have any big problems in the race at all? We didn't watch you much, to be honest. You were mostly alone, but I'm sure you had a lot of fun. But did you have any big scares that we didn't quite see on camera?
There was a tiny one on the exit of Lecombe, like in the second right-hander. I touched my left rear wheel on the curb, and it wanted to snap away there really badly. But apart from that, I just try to keep it really clean. Don't have too many off-tracks, because we all know Spa-Francorchamps is known for it. And just keep my nose and my tires clean. Because I was never in a position like this in these races, so I really wanted to take all the advantage I could and just don't mess it up at all.
Yeah, did you? So we're getting some questions. It looks like Ozzy. Do you want to ask about Jamie?
Yeah, sure. I can ask. So, Tim, congratulations for the win. First and foremost, I know it's gonna feel great on your home track, but the presence of Jamie Fluke. You see that black stripe in the field. We haven't seen a black stripe in the Lotus 79 field since Tapani and Joni Takanen had one. So, did it give you any scares when you saw the qualifying time of Jamie Fluke and then in race condition you saw him running away on first lap?
I do have to admit I was a little bit saddened by the fact that I didn't get my pole position because Jamie decided to join this race, and although of course he can join, so I was just gonna see what I could do at the start of the race, try to stay in his draft if I could, but near the end of the first lap, I already figured out, that's not going to work. And then he did indeed get a false start. I saw him jump the line a little bit. I thought maybe it wasn't enough to trigger the black flag, but race control did spot it, and they called him in pit lane. So I was grinning from ear to ear when I was going to the bus stop at the end of lap 1. Yes, I maybe still have a chance here.
And Nick, that's very interesting question we got lined up next and I'm gonna let you ask that one because we've seen many greats from this country, but you're gonna have to ask about that one.
Yeah, we're kind of wondering back here in the peanut gallery, who is your favorite Belgian race car driver in the real world?
Yeah, we don't have that many big ones. I would say. Well, I say of the current stock, I kind of like what Van Dorn is doing. A bit of a shame how his McLaren adventure went in Formula One, but I really like him as a driver and what he can do in Formula E. He's shown that he's a really good driver. Maxime Martin is also one if you're going more to GT, or the two Van Dorn brothers, of course. Those two, they're just putting that Audi everywhere where they want to. They're always putting up a good show. So we do have a couple of young ones, but we don't have the greats like an Ayrton Senna. That's true. That's true.
Jackie X!
Oh, yeah. sorry, Jackie X. Sorry.
Go on, Nick.
We may or may not have been trying to guess your favorite driver back here, and I may or may not be grinning ear to ear after predicting Stoffel Van Dorn. But Tim, before we let you go today, is there anyone you want to give a thank you or a shout out to?
Of course, my team, Alfa Romeo, they gave me a great car this weekend. It just did exactly what I wanted it to do. And then maybe my sub-team, Torque Freak Racing, all of those guys, they're also always supporting me. Our sponsors, TeamSpeak. And yeah, I'm looking forward to next week, putting up another great race and a great show. Everyone, blessed.
Yeah, that'll certainly be fun next week down at the mountain. But Tim, congratulations on your win. Hopefully we get to talk to you in the booth there as well.
Yeah, thanks, man. This has been the best fans around Spa and the best interviewers right here. So thanks for the interview.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time. And again, congratulations on your win.
All right.
And celebrate like a Finn.
Yeah, I will try to look for some vodka. We're stuck at home anyway, so no work for today. For tomorrow.
Yeah, good job. Enjoy it, man.
All right, have a good one, guys.
All right. Well, that was Tim Claessens, your winner today. Very happy, obviously, winning at his home track at Spa. And that'll do it for us as well today. We want to give a special thank you to everyone who came out today for the 4th round in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, including all the drivers who put on the show for us today. An additional thanks to all the amazing companies that provided the software and hardware that we used to create a GSRC production for you. We also, of course, want to thank the very talented June Lalonde, who provides our music. See the screen for more on how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the crew today in the booth, Ozzy, Joe, and Dougie. And don't forget to check out the GSRC on social media. You can do that at our website, globalsimracingchannel.com, on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, on Instagram at GSRC_Graham. And of course, you're already found our YouTube channel, so if you haven't already, scroll down just a touch, hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a second of racing. Make sure to join us and the Weekend Warriors Spec Racer Ford Series at Charlotte at 3:45 p.m. Eastern today, just in a little bit. That action is going to be live over on the iRacing Esports Network. And to see more of today's great racing in the Lotus 79 Series, we're going to be back next Sunday, same time, same place. But we're going to be at Mount Panorama, the always exciting Bathurst, down in Australia. Finally, with all that being said, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast today. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.